All right, we're good to go.
All right, so should we share some examples?
Yes.
Sure.
All right, we're going over cumulative voting.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so my example, the one I did was, I'll just read it. It said Dunder Mifflin Paper Company just fired their vice president of Northeastern Sales, Jan Levinson, their CFO, David Wallace, and Utica branch manager, Andrew Bernard. The company decided to use the cumulative voting system in order to fill these 3 positions. This allows the shareholders to vote according to the number of shares that they own. Jim Halpert, an employee of Dunder Mifflin Paper Company at the Scranton, Pennsylvania branch, owns 200 shares of stock in Dunder Mifflin Paper Company. With 3 positions open to be voted on, Jim gets a total of 600 votes in order to disperse how he wants between the 3 positions. This is equivalent to his 200 shares of stock equaling 200 votes for each of the 3 positions. He isn't really concerned about vice president of Northeastern Sales or Utica branch manager positions since he is confident of all the candidates for those positions, but is highly concerned about the CFO position due to the fact that Ryan Howard is a candidate and has been found to be lazy and corrupt. Jim then decides to vote for the other 2 positions and puts all of his 600 votes towards Michael Scott, Jim's current boss and candidate for the CFO position. How does that sound?
Nice.
Yeah.
Love the references there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good job, Casey.
Yeah. You always connect it to some movie or show. It's funny.
That's cool.
Mine wasn't The Office, obviously, but I just did something similar where I said that a guy had 25% of a company's stock, so that was kind of how they determined how much you could vote. But I did it differently. I did the formula, the X equals 1 divided by the number of directors being elected minus 1. So that's how I went about it, but it's not as detailed as your example, Casey.
But just so I understand that, right, you have the straight voting system and the cumulative voting system, and the difference between the 2 is basically the straight voting system. You still get, like, for example, in my example, you still get the 600 votes, but only 200 can be placed for each position. While with the cumulative, you can take all your 600 and put it for 1 position and then not have any votes for the other 2, correct?
Yeah, you
I
can
think so.
differentiate it however you want with the cumulative voting system, the one that we're doing.
But with the straight system, like, you can't take all 600 and put it in 1 place. You only have a total of 200 for each position. That's how I understood it. I don't know. I might be wrong, because I want to check.
And there's Jacob. He's here.
Sorry I'm late.
I don't know.
Oh, we just got started. Going over examples right now.
So my example was with a school board, and they had three openings in the school board, and so the members of the school board used cumulative voting to vote for candidates to fill those positions. And so they could, if they wanted to, do 1 vote for each position, or divide it between 2 positions, or put all 3 votes into one position if they wanted to. So pretty much the same, but not as fun as Casey's.
That's a pretty good one. Good example.
Thanks. What about you, Kanan?
I'll just copy and paste mine. It's a little bit easier. It's very just broad. Just a guy that works for a company, and he's a shareholder, and the company's now going to vote for a few candidates for the board. And so it just kind of talks about how the company uses the cumulative voting method, and he's able to vote however based on his shares that he has. I don't know. Just something broad. It wasn't too detailed like Casey's, but I don't know.
Mine was that exact same way.
Works for a company, they're going to vote for something. They use the voting method. Yeah, and then he's be able to vote as many times as he please, based on how many shares he has.
Okay, cool.
Anyone else need to share?
Yeah, mine's pretty much just like Kanan's. Shareholders, DAF shares, they're voting for chair positions. Yeah.
Okay. So I think we should go
Are you
with
guys,
Casey's today.
I go Casey's.
I'm good with cases.
Yeah.
All right, let me post it in the chat.
That's long.
It was a good little size paragraph.
Yes, The Office.
Yeah.
Making me happy.
Besides it being about the office, which is cool, I liked that you explained the 200 shares and the 600 votes and how that worked.
Yeah, how
good
one
job
vote for
explaining
each
that.
share and then for each vote. All right, so who wants to be the scribe today? Knock this out real quick.
No nose goes.
I don't know who that was.
I honestly don't know either.
Does anyone have the page pulled up?
No.
Well,
Who hasn't done it in a while?
I think I did it last week.
I haven't done it in a while. Let me pull it up.
Be to do it pretty soon, but I did the paragraph like 2 weeks ago. I don't know.
Oh, that's right.
All right, I got the page pulled up. I can take care of it.
What question are you guys thinking of wanting to do for this example? So we can help Landon.
The thing that came to my mind, it's really like kind of simple. I don't know. I thought it might have been a little too simple. It was just giving a question like, oh, this person has this many shares of stock. They're voting for this many positions. How many votes do they have? I mean, it's really a basic math problem, but
Yeah.
and then
Yeah, I
each
was
one
kind of
is,
thinking that too.
yeah, like it's really
Should we not
oversimple.
take out
But,
that section? Should we take out the section that explains how many votes he gets then?
for the
And then use it as a
example,
question?
I would say no, but for our question, yes.
We can do it differently.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's easier just to.
Or we can do
Or
like
he has
what is it
200.
what type of voting does this demonstrate, or I don't know.
Yeah, we can do that too.
What were you saying, Landon? Your voice kind of got cut out.
So instead of maybe saying, well, if we did what you were saying, Jacob, talking about how many votes he had, it might be easier instead of saying that he has 200 shares, we could just put it as a percentage, like he has 25% of the shares, because that way it fits in easier to explain with the formula that's in there.
Oh, okay.
That's under cumulative voting. Because it talks about because the formula will give you the percentage of stock ownership that you need to elect one person. So if we went that direction, we'd have to change it from, at least in the actual question, to a percentage of how much person owns, which we could do. That's not a big deal.
I'd be okay with that. That's That's what I'm thinking, because I was thinking about what type of voting you said, Kanan, for a question like that. I don't think any of the other examples like cover a different voting system for the other groups or whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
It'd kind of be like, well, I don't
It'd just
know.
be like obvious that it'd be our example. It'd be the QD2.
Yeah.
Like naming all these numbers. Oh, okay, I know what this is.
Oh, it's the only voting type that's in the textbook.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, we could probably go with that example than the one that you were making mention of.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'd be good.
Okay, so now I just need to find the formula for the percentage. Where is that in the textbook? Wow. I can't seem to find where that formula was. Oh, wait. Here it is. So for the question, we could do how how much stock
Is that
ownership
right
would
there
you
where I
need?
posted in the chat?
Oh, there it is. Thanks.
Okay, so I kind of worded the question like this because you found that what's it called, the formula, right? Oh, there it is. Okay. So I was thinking of, here's what I wrote. Let me go back to it because it's not a complete example of the story, but I just put Dunder Mifflin Paper Company is looking to hire 3 new directors. Jim owns 20% of the shares in Dunder Mifflin Company. How many directors can Jim elect? And then we could use the formula to do our answers.
So D is the number of directors, right?
Yeah, so I put 3 in there. So
Yeah, number. Yeah, S is number of shares voting. X is number of directors you want to elect. Number of directors up for election. Forgot the 1 is, but
So one plus the directors being elected divided by 1, or all that divided by 1. That's just 25%.
Wow. I thought it was just 1-to-1. I mean, I remember seeing the formula, but I didn't understand it. Because the example they gave in the book was all like 1-to-1. 1 vote, or 1 share equals 1 vote.
Well, that's what it's confusing because I think it's a little different in the cumulative voting. It says that.
I'm gonna get my book out.
Yeah, look it up again. I don't have the page number because it's online, but
yeah, that's no problem. what is the number of what are the variables in that formula, Kanan?
So the S stands for the number of shares voting in an election, and X is the number of directors you want to elect. So I guess how many are up for election, and then the D equals the number of. Actually, wait, hold on. No, X is how much you want to elect. D is the number of directors that are up for election.
So I found it in the book.
Okay, yeah. If you wanna, I'm using the internet right now.
The book says
Get this.
cumulative voting is cumulative voting is permitted by law or by special provision in the corporate charter in most states. In the example just given, in cumulative voting, the holder of 100 shares has a potential of 700 votes. Because, all right, I'll go ahead and go voting because it gives an example during the previous section. Voting. Most matters are decided by majority of the votes cast. If there is more than one class of stock, an approval of all classes is required. A majority of each class is necessary. In the election of directors, each share has one vote for each director. So that's what I read. This mode of director election is usually referred to as straight voting. If, for example, 7 directors are to be elected, the holder of 100 shares may select up to 7 nominees out of the pool of those nominated and vote up to 100 shares for each of them. So we get 700 votes for each of them. Cumulative voting is permitted by law or by special provision in the corporate charter and in most states. In the example just given, in cumulative voting, the holder of 100 shares has a potential of 700 votes because there's 7 positions and may distribute them among 7 nominees as she chooses. If the shareholder accumulates her votes and casts all 700 in favor of a single nominee, this nominee may very well be elected when there are, for example, a total of 100 shares present and voting. And then there's a little box. It says, by cumulative voting, a minority shareholder may be assured of some representation on the board of directors and a voice, albeit a minority voice, in management. The percentage of stock ownership needed to elect one director, X, under cumulative voting is seen in this formula. And it says X equals 1 divided by the number of directors being elected plus 1.
I like that formula.
I'm going to type that out.
Yeah, that's the one I found in the book, and that's why I was like
Yeah,
looking
that's
for the
the
other
one I
one a little iffy.
That's the one I'm using.
So if we did that, we could just do it in the example, not even mention for the question, we could say how much, what percentage of stock does Jim need to elect one director?
Yeah, we could do that too.
Yeah, and
So
this
I
is,
wouldn't have to change anything.
Because
So
then, yeah,
it continues
sorry,
on
go ahead.
really quick. It continues on. It says, so if 5 directors are being elected, a shareholder holding 16.7% of the stock
Could elect one director. Because 1 divided by 5 plus 1 is 16, or is 0.16666667.
for 7 positions equals 700 votes. And that's why I just kind of changed the numbers around and was like, okay, he has 200 shares, 1 vote for each share, that's 200 votes. For 3 positions, that's 600. But yeah, then later on they give us that formula that I just typed in, the X equals, and X is
The percentage.
the percentage of stock ownership needed to elect 1 director. That's all it is.
That's it. That formula might be the easiest.
Let's just see.
I mean, I would rather go with, I think it was Michael that was saying it. I'd rather just keep the example the way it is and then just simply just say what type of voting is this. Because it never says what type of voting it is in the example. Oh, wait, yeah, it does. But we can just take that out real quick.
Yeah, I think you can take that out, and we
And then it would just be like, okay, is it cumulative voting? Is it straight voting? Is it electoral voting? Like, just make some crap up, I guess. I don't know.
That could work too.
Using
Yeah,
the
we can do that too.
electoral votes.
I think we could do the straight voting, cumulative voting, and then make up one other, and then just do none of the above.
That works.
Yeah.
What would be the other one we make up?
Maybe strategic voting or something like that. I don't know.
Well, I said electoral voting because you do electoral
That's a good one.
Okay.
during like presidential votes.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
I don't know if it's called electoral voting, but hey, it's something.
You do statutory voting.
What is that?
Oh, yeah.
It's like we're only given. It's like we're only allowed to vote for one person.
Okay, yeah, just one person, one vote.
Yeah.
That makes
That's a
sense.
good one to put in, actually. Okay.
Or straight voting. Actually, I think we might have made mention of that. I'm just looking at it right now.
Well, no, straight voting, you get one vote for each share. So,
Okay, I think they might be the same thing actually. So
yeah, so he would
Okay.
he would still get 600 votes, but he can only use 200 for each person. He couldn't put all 600 in for one person. He'd have to spread it amongst the three positions.
Yeah, you get 200 votes for each.
we can do majority rule or majority voting if we need another one.
Okay.
Whichever one you guys want.
That one's pretty self-explanatory, but
So our
I'll just go majority voting.
cumulative is the right answer. Wrong answer, statutory voting. Wrong answer, majority voting. Wrong answer,
Straight voting.
Straight
straight voting. Yeah, that works. Sorry, I trashed that idea earlier.
vote.
I didn't mean like not trash, but
Who offered it? I can't remember if it was Michael or not.
I think it was Kanan.
Cannon did.
I
like
think it
me.
was Canaan.
And I was like, nah, why would we do that?
I was like, I kind of liked it. It was really simple and get it done fast.
This is why you people can't let me decide things.
that's all right. Yeah, you need help with writing out the wrong answers, Landon. Or are you good?
No, I think I can get it.
Yeah, let's try to walk you through it if you need any help. Yeah, majority obviously is whoever gets more than half of the votes will automatically get the position.
I don't understand how their budget can fit it. But they get stuff people all the time.
Yeah.
Really ridiculous.
So maybe we can word it as like the company wants to use a voting system in order to fill these three positions that allow shareholders to vote according to the shares that they own. That way it cuts out the whole cumulative voting. Does that make sense? So like in the example, just put like Dunder Mifflin Paper Company just fired their vice president of Northeastern Sales, Jen Livingston, the CFO, David Wallace, and Utica branch manager Andrew Bernard. And then it goes on and just say the company wants to use a voting system in order to fill these three positions that will allow the shareholders to vote according to the number of shares that they own.
And then just keep going.
Yeah, and then just keep going from there. Jim Halper is an employee of Dunder Mifflin. He owns 200 shares, blah, blah, blah.
I like that. I think that would be easy.
And the question could be like, what type of voting system did Dunder Mifflin end up using?
I think it's Unicorn, but we can back off on it. If we need to go,
Okay, so I reworded it so it says the company wants to use a voting system to fill these three positions in a way that allows the shareholders to vote according to the number of shares they own. And then the rest is just the same.
No, that's
Then
fine.
the question is, what kind of voting method Should I put did Dunder Mifflin use, or should I put what kind of voting
Yeah.
method should
I would say did.
Did.
did? Okay.
Because in the example, he already put his votes in towards Michael Scott, so they've already had the vote in the past.
Okay.
So what voting system did Dunder Mifflin end up using?
Okay, so I put cumulative voting because Jim was able to cast all of his votes for one person under cumulative voting. And then
That's true, but if you look at that in the dollar, also rating equity, 89 cents. I don't think it's good.
okay.
You got all written out, Lyman?
Almost.
Okay. Did they help at all?
What should I put for the wrong answer, or the explanation for the wrong answer for majority voting?
You can just be like, this is not the right answer. Well, majority voting, it's whoever gets the majority of the votes. So it's like over half votes or over half of the church or whatever. I'm trying to think how to word it though. You can say like majority voting constitutes whoever gets the majority of the votes. In this case, this isn't majority voting. I don't know. Something like that.
It sounds kind of confusing. I'm good with going with just none of the above as well.
Yeah, let's do none of the above because
All right.
it's
That's easy.
using,
All right, whatever.
yeah. So majority voting, I'll get rid of that one because technically it still falls under the majority, even though it's not. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to just like, I'm about to do my thing.
So the straight one is wrong because Jim cast more than, or cast all of his vote for one person instead of equal to all three. And then okay. And then we kept with statutory voting.
Yeah, which is the same as straight voting, pretty much. I think is what we just figured out.
Okay, I'll just
Only get the one vote per share per position.
So quiz question is, what kind of voting method did Dunder Mifflin end up using? Correct answer is cumulative voting. This is right because Jim cast all of his votes for one person, which is consistent with cumulative voting. Wrong answer 1, straight voting. This is wrong because Jim is able to cast all of his votes for one person. Under straight voting, he would have had to split the votes between the candidates. Wrong answer 2 is statutory. This is also wrong because as it is similar to straight voting where you must split the votes between candidates. And then wrong answer 3 is just none of the above. This is wrong because this would be considered cumulative voting, which is option 1.
Yes.
Okay. I'll clean it up a little bit and then I'll send it to you guys. And then if you want to change anything, we can. But I
Sounds
think we
good.
got the bulk of it done.
Okay.
Gotta let Michael go, so.
Oh, that's right.
All right. Well, yeah, I will finish this up. Just fix up a few of the things, and then I'll send it to you guys in an email and submit it.
All right, thanks for that, Landon.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
so much,
See you
Ryan.
guys next week.
Thanks.
See you, dudes.
Thank you.
Bye.